We hereby call to order the June 10th meeting of the Albany Arts Committee. Okay, for roll call, I guess we're all here except for Jenny? And Andy, okay. I saw him. I don't think I got the link that was sent out somehow. I didn't get a chance to check, but
I got the link from the city. The city sent something. I don't think it was, I mean, I got something from you today.
Okay, so whatever I did did not work.
Okay.
so I didn't get a chance to double check. I might be wrong. Maybe it's in one of my folders, but
It's here. Or you can pull it up, so here, I'll show you
Well, it's on the city website, right? Yeah, you can find it there.
here. So an easy way to find them is the way that I usually do it is go to the calendar listing at the top. Ignore that. Today is the 10th. And so you click on Arts Committee. And then the agenda will be here. And then from the agenda, you can click on the minutes. So that's a great way at home to do it, but also in here just to be able to pull it up as well. So calendar listing, Arts Committee, click on the date, and that should be up the Thursday before. And I'll send an email out as well with the link to it. So
okay.
that was a trial run that didn't go well. So I apologize for that. But
All right. Is there a motion to approve the April minutes?
You did it without, what was I, for 2 minutes?
Yeah, you're out. You're
I'm
gone.
out, that's it. Okay, guys, it's been fun. I'm going home to watch the Warriors game.
Are you looking for a motion to approve?
I think that's what we need, right?
I
Second.
move to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on, public comment. Is there anyone here that'd like to address the committee?
I'm here in my formal attire. Another appropriate formal attire. So for those of you who don't know who I am, well, thank you for taking the time with me tonight. I'm Robbie Abrams, and I have the Abrams Claghorn Gallery on Masonic and Solano. So I wanted to bring up a couple of things that the committee, should know about. They're not bad things, they're good things. First, I have been running a series of art fairs in the empty lot next door to my building. And the next one is next Saturday, the day before Father's Day. We get about 15 to 20 local artists. And I also hand out flyers at that event where 15 or 20 local businesses have paid essentially to help me promote this fair. So, Chocolate Bar, Ocean View, Jenny at Henry at Winkler Real Estate, and so on and so on. So there's a lot of community support for these fairs, and I thought you guys might want to know about it as well. Any help that I can get in promoting these fairs would be great, because part of the reason I do it, besides that they're fun, is that I need to bring business to Solano, and this is the only way to get enough foot traffic on my block of Solano. I'm not a grocery store where people need to buy what I'm selling. So we create this excitement. Now the Solano Avenue Association, along with the Solano Bid, are putting on an art walk in July 20th. That's on this. I can hand you guys this as well. So the Bid has pledged some money. I'm not quite sure exactly how much, to help us pay for music at some of the venues on the art walk. And the art walk coincides with my next art fair. So my fair is from 10 to 5, and the art walk is from 4 to 7, although I might let my fair go longer as long as the artists are willing to stay later. So we'll see how that goes.
Did you say the art walk is the same day as your fair?
It is. The art walk on July 20th is another fair. So I'm doing
Oh,
four.
it's another fair.
Yeah, I'm doing 4 fairs total this summer. We did one in June, then July 20th, and then September
The date of the
28th.
one in June?
Pardon?
June, the
June
date?
15th.
June
Yeah, June 15th, next Saturday.
Can I hand these out?
Sure.
Yeah.
And it works, I hope. I wanted to, so I have the fairs, we have the art walk, and then I'm working on a bunch of programs as well to help artists in the community. And again, any help that you guys can do, like help me just promote this, not asking for money, but just help, maybe share this on your emails. I've started running a bunch of programs for artists. We tried running workshops for people to learn from artists, but there's a lot of that around, a lot of workshops, so that didn't work for us. So we now are running workshops for artists, Photoshop for artists, how to price your work, how to prepare for open studios. And then my July show,
You can keep going.
am I allowed to?
Ignore the
line
man
behind
behind
me.
the screen.
So my July show, we did a search for inexperienced artists, people with very little or no showing experience, because we get tons of people walking in saying, how do I get a show? Can I have a show here? What do I have to do to get a show? So we juried in 3. I hired some professional teachers to work with these 3 artists that we juried in, to mentor them every couple weeks, going to their studios, reviewing their artist statements, helping them photograph their work, stuff like that. So our July-August show will be these 3 artists with the work that they were able to produce in the last 3 months with this mentorship program. This program, I think, can be really important moving forward. I would like to do it at least once a year. And I also want to use my Art Crit nights, which are Thursday nights, to help people get used to talking about their art and understand, how to develop a relationship with a gallery so that you can actually show your work. You can't just walk in and say, here's my business card, can I have a show? And so that seems to be the norm. So I think that's all I have to talk about, but basically, yes, if you guys can help me spread the word about this stuff, because the hardest thing right now for me, as well as many of the other businesses, is just getting people to walk down to Solano to see that we exist.
So if we wanted to share something on our own social media, where would we go and get that material?
Well, if you follow Abrams Claghorn on Facebook and Instagram, then you would see that. I could also deliberately share it if the Arts Committee has a Facebook page. I could share it with you, or I could share it with you individually. So anyway,
Okay.
so yeah,
Does Abrams Claghorn have a mailing list?
we do.
Okay,
Yes.
so anyone could email you, and they could be on your mailing list as well?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, gallery@abramsclaghorn.com.
Okay, great. And I have to ask Robbie, too, that if he has information that he'd like to disperse or direct emails to you to let you know if he's not able to come, I can send that out to the committee as well. Yeah,
Yes.
what you're doing is great.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And I appreciate what you guys are doing on the street. I hope you get more murals up. I know lots of places that desperately need them because the taggers seem to think they're ideal surfaces. Not my building, but like, for example, the optometry place up the street and a few others.
Okay.
So. But I'm also happy, for your events, of course. Bring me your flyers. I have space to put things in my place as well for that. So we can reciprocate.
What, do you want
Oh, I bring him stuff all the
to, yeah,
time.
great.
Walk in the
You
door, he
know
said,
about
oh, not
ours.
that woman again.
Uh-huh. We're taking submissions for the
He knows.
community center gallery as well, and Robbie and I talked too about, right,
I have those in my gallery right now.
yeah, yeah.
But if you have, again, an email version of that, I can send that out too. I can forward that.
That would be great.
Okay, I can put that on my list. And what was I just going to say? Just slipped my mind. Oh, we talked about for the art walk, getting the community center foyer on the map as well. We were a little late last year, but that would be great.
So, yeah, the North Berkeley Investment Partners are putting together the literature for the art walk. So I just need to get him that information. So if you can get me whatever you want to put on that, in that flyer, we'll probably do a trifold flyer or something.
do the show we will have a different show there.
Yeah, so yeah, just
July
send me
20th.
July 20th, yes, the show.
July
is on.
20th. Next year, the art walk will be on a Thursday night instead of a Saturday, and will be an art and wine walk.
Oh, nice.
If we can get our act together and jump through all the hoops necessary to get the liquor permits, because there's some trickiness when a place already has a liquor permit to then have our, there's all sorts of little oddities with that, but we will get it going. We're modeling it after what they're doing in North Shattuck, and North Shattuck is helping us out with some of these kind of details. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any questions at all for Robbie while he's here?
I have a question. We don't know each other. I'm a new committee member. I'm wondering whether you considered your schedule and aligning this with the Open Studios, which is going on right now.
Yeah, I'm one of the sponsors of Open Studios.
But you chose to schedule this not around the same time.
I did, yeah. Well, because Open Studios, unfortunately, even though I'm a sponsor for it, doesn't help my business. And if I don't have an event like this art fair once a month, then I have a very difficult time paying my rent. And then this is also a way for artists who don't have their own studio space to show. And there's a lot of artists out there who don't want to, their studio is their living room, and they don't live in a place where even being on the Open Studios map helps them. So yeah, that is definitely a consideration. And certainly when I was doing Open Studios as an artist, and then somebody had an art fair down the street from me, I didn't exactly love it, but there's that balance. There's definitely that balance. And certainly I don't think I am directing anybody away from it. I think I might just be another stop on the tour.
Thank you.
I have a quick, more general question, not getting too off topic, but do you have any ideas or plans for tying art into Dinner with Albany? Is that happening this September?
It's not happening this year.
It's every other year. Last year,
Oh, it's okay.
actually, unfortunately, because I did not realize that I had one of my art fairs on the night of Dinner with Albany. Now, Dinner with Albany is a wonderful thing for the people who live in Albany, but it is a terrible thing for the businesses on Solano Avenue. The restaurants who normally do a good breakfast business or a brunch or lunch business that are in that zone, it was terrible for them. Some of the businesses closed early during Dinner with Albany. I mean, the restaurants, because business for them was not worth it. And for me, I had the art fair, and even though my block itself wasn't blocked off, the way the streets had, they had signs saying you can't go down Solano. So people at Masonic, instead of turning and noticing that I had an art fair, because most of the business that I get for these art fairs is people happening by, despite advertising in the East Bay Express and the Chronicle and Facebook and emails and all of that, most of the business is because people see our balloons, and we do poll people on that. So last year, during Dinner with Albany, they just drove right by. They said, oh, can't go down Solano today. Oh, well, we'll go somewhere else. So they didn't even turn to see that we had the art fair going on. And so that, I would love to find a way to make that work, because I figured out a way to make the Solano Stroll work for my business. The first year I was here, the Solano Stroll destroyed my business. I might as well have been closed. Now it's my busiest day, my busiest shopping day, period. Even the day before Christmas isn't nearly as busy.
How did you turn that around?
The way I promoted, the way I had my booth set up out front, the way we had signage, the kind of stuff we have for sale, and even the personalities working in the booth. There's all these subtleties that make a big difference. The first year we did not have a nice booth. The people who I chose to sit in the booth were not salespeople, to be nice. And so there's all these little things that you learn, and each year it has gotten bigger and bigger for us. Also, I've learned what to have in the front of the store besides outside on the sidewalk so that people come in. I mean, there was one year where it was super hot and we had free ice water. People got a lot of water. They didn't buy anything. So then I had to reevaluate my displays for the Solano Stroll because it's a different customer than my standard customer. You know,
Nice.
they're different demographic, and they're also not necessarily there to shop for art, so they might look at it and say, this is cool, but they're not prepared to make that kind of investment, even for my less expensive art. So,
Well, let's talk for 2020, because there's talk of, we've talked with Stephanie Sala, Five Little Monkeys too, of shutting down the Masonic to Evelyn Street and turning that into art, toy area, deli area, all the shops right there could have it's closed down from 8 a.m. on, so the street, your fair could be out in the middle of the street too, so.
so this is for the
For Dinner with Albany 2020. So we would love to do something like that, so,
That would be terrific.
Yeah.
You know, one thing for sure, it's no fault of Albany, but the way that businesses are spaced on Solano Avenue, my business is kind of in a little island, because we have me, then we have the Triangle Place, and an empty lot, then an apartment. Across the street, we have the two small businesses, but it's also an apartment building, an empty lot, a deli, and then Five Little Monkeys, then an apartment, then another apartment. And so it's just a long ways away before there's another business where shoppers can feel like they're walking down the street and have a lot of place to stop at. So yeah, you can shut off that. You can make a farmer's market in front of my store any day of the week. I'd be happy to have that. I know the police department isn't thrilled about farmer's markets, but I would be happy to have any of that kind of stuff.
great, okay. We'll start talks earlier for next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so do we have any announcements? Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm always going to be a little late to this meeting. Any announcements? Staff announcements?
Sure, I can
Sure.
go first.
Thank you.
I have to pull up my sporty shorts picture. We had an amazing event. Jenny attended. Ignore the Rocky Horror, that wasn't us, but the Sporty Shorts Play Like a Girl movie night that I had mentioned, I believe, in April was a huge success. We had about 250 people come out. We were worried we were going to have too many, actually, because we sold over 350 tickets, and there were only 350 seats, but enough people wanted to watch the Warriors game. It worked out perfectly. We showed 4 short documentaries on women and girls in sports, and it was incredibly well received. And Jenny, was it you who said they had tears in their eyes?
Oh,
and
yeah,
they were
no, it was great. It was
someone
really
else.
moving, actually.
It was very moving.
It was very moving, and it was really moving to see how many kids showed up to see
many.
it. How many parents brought their girls.
Yeah, and boys
And
too.
boys
It
to
was
see
great
it.
to
Yeah,
see.
It's
It was
really great. It was
very
a great
powerful.
event.
So we partnered with the Women's Sports Film Festival, and great partnership. So we'll definitely do it, make it an annual event. The Albany Film Fest was really a big part of it, and happy to be involved. So there's been talks with Jeremy about how to incorporate them a little bit more. So it was really fun. And then 3 days later, we did the Play Like a Girl event, and we also had 400 girls show up to try more than 20 different sports. And again, very impactful, very important event. So that's what I've been up to.
That's awesome.
And then, get out of here. I did, Jenny, before you got here, I did apologize for not, the way, the city has asked us to do agendas a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So I apologize that the way that it was done didn't work, and you guys didn't get the email, and then I was out of camping out of cell range, so just sent it out this evening. But for the future, whether you're home, whether you're here, going to calendar and going to the meeting date, clicking on Arts Committee, and then the agenda is here.
Great.
And then the minutes will always be right here.
Great.
So that is how we will do that. I think that
Thank you.
was the
If we
minutes.
add this event to our calendar, do we automatically get the minutes?
If you subscribe to the e-notify
Okay.
and click the Arts Committee, do you guys all get the e-notify when that comes out? It should come out, yeah, okay, a few days before. Otherwise, it comes from me. It says the same
Okay.
thing, basically. But the e-notify for the city of Albany, I can probably pull it up right here, is anyone let me my test here. For e-notifications, you can, this is just good.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you about this because this is how I get all my Albany news. You enter in your address at the top, and then you can click on any of these that you want. If you want dogs in Albany, you want anytime something, a news article or a meeting gets, they click this box, you'll get notified. Senior event, the Arts Committee was up here somewhere. Art in Albany, Arts Committee. There's a lot of them you can see. There's a tree task force. Then you'll get those automatic emails, whether they're weekly or randomly, or if it's a meeting, they'll send it before. And then here's the news as well. So, and then you have to click that you're not a robot. So that's how those work. The few housekeeping, just a reminder for the new members, there are no committee meetings or council meetings in August. So that's kind of our dark month. And then just to note too, I'll keep reminding you, the November meeting usually falls on Veterans Day. So we'll actually have our meeting here on Tuesday, November 12th. So just note that in your calendar. And that's all from me.
I have an announcement. Today, I had a meeting with the Albany Film Fest Committee, just continuing our planning for the Film Fest. We still don't have an exact date. It's going to be probably one of the 2 last weekends in March. And as we did last year, it'll probably be a whole week of Film Fest, starting off with a kids show on the Saturday, and then on several of the weekend nights, there'll be feature films or a collection of shorts at Albany Twin. Then there'll be a gala on Saturday night, and then on Sunday will be the full-day screening. And we're trying to get money and build up more contacts with the various filmmakers in the Bay Area and points farther. And one of the interesting things that Jack Kenny has been doing is trying to certify the Albany Film Fest as an official venue for the Academy Awards, so that films that are submitted to the Albany Film Fest are then eligible for Academy Award nominations. It's a long and arduous process to qualify, but if you do, then you're kind of bumped up. You get many more films submitted because filmmakers then take you a lot more seriously, and there's a chance of them getting nominated if their film gets selected. So that's probably still a couple years off, but he's working diligently toward that.
Mm-hmm. And this will be your 10th year next year.
Yeah, so it's going to be the 10th year, and I'll just keep you posted as things develop.
Great.
I'd also like to say that this would be a really great time to post it on all your social media, that it's submission time, yeah?
Pardon me?
It's submission time.
Yes.
So if you go to your social media and there's,
Wait, for the film festival?
yeah, for the film festival and for the art, for the foyer.
Oh, I know about the foyer. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
about that one, but I didn't know about the film
Yeah.
festival.
Yeah, the submissions opened about a month ago, I think,
Yeah.
and they go through November on
So
Film
much
Freeway.
longer,
Yeah, I didn't
Open
realize
period.
that about the film festival.
yeah.
Film Freeway, yeah.
So post and repost. Tell your people. Great, okay, any other announcements? All right. I don't see, I know Jimenez is going to be late, and Christian, they're going to be late.
They asked to go at the very end.
They're gonna go at the very end.
So Christian will come back at 8, and then when we're done with our agenda, he'll be ready. And then
Awesome.
Jimena will be here at 8:30 after her class.
Okay,
So
great.
hopefully the timing will all work out. Yeah, and we set up, just so you know, a little table under the screen there, and they're going to lay out, they're going to lay out the design, and we can look at it, and he will answer questions.
Then let's move on to item 6-1, sculpture loan program. We're in a little bit of a holding pattern because, as I understand it, because we're installing pads, we have to go back to BART, get BART approval for the pads for the art, and then we have to go to the council again? Is
We
that
haven't
true?
been to the council yet.
I thought we'd been to the council, but then,
No, not with the art that was going to go in it. It just got approved on the work plan.
okay, it got
Yeah.
approved on the work plan, right, so
Yeah.
we have a couple more meetings to go through
Yeah.
before we can actually install art. I did go see some of the art. It's all really nice. I wish we could do it. Everybody's been really patient with us, which I think is great. But I think that many of these steps, we will not have to duplicate them next time. We'll
Right.
have the pads, we'll have the locations, we'll know what we're doing, the city will know what we're doing. And so this is the hardest part of it right now, is just waiting for the city to be able to, and for BART to give us clearance on everything. That's all I got.
Right.
Creek Art? And Andy's not here.
Oh, yeah. Shoot. Okay. This one we might have to push back because he has been the committee liaison. Did you want to say something before?
No, I wanted to know what was happening.
Okay,
with the
okay.
group.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just go through my piece, and I'll probably have to bump this, because he's been wonderful in liaising with the artist.
Great.
I'll pull this up too. In the February meeting, put together this timeline, kind of just to talk about the roadblocks along the way for both the artist and for the city and the committee as well. And walking through it and going through this, the committee decided in February, let's give him another chance. Let's hold his hand a little bit more through the process. And Andy has been great at that, trying to interpret what the city needs, trying to interpret what the artist needs, trying to mesh those two together. Andy and I talked a week or two ago based on an email from Frank, and we both decided that the artist wasn't willing to compromise, and even though we did offer to, upon signing a contract, that he would get an upfront fee that was guaranteed, and he really wasn't willing to budge as far as going through with the process of getting what the city needs to feel okay about moving forward with the process. So,
Oh, that's so disappointing.
yes, yeah. And so I think at this point, I think it makes sense to push this maybe to, I wasn't aware that Andy wasn't going to be here, so pushing that back to
Sure.
next meeting to make a decision if that's okay with the committee, because it would be
Let's do
great to
that.
hear him.
We will
Was
push
there-
that.
I mean, is there a decision to be made if the artist isn't willing to budge on what the city wants? I mean, doesn't strike me as that there's a decision to be made here by
Just
anyone.
not to, yeah, just,
We're kind of
just to,
done.
yeah, exactly. But just to be all on the same page and make sure that that's in writing, make motion to not move forward with it. And then at that point, the city would notify the artist, and that would be
Disappointing.
that. And then if the committee decides not to move forward with it, then we look at that money, the $7,500 from the art fund as well as the matching fund, and I can have that information too for next meeting of what the various options are.
That would be great. It would be great to know what would happen to the matching fund money.
So the matching fund, yes, I'll have information on that. Just kind of the basics is that the $7,500 would just go, we don't lose that. It would go back into the
Right.
fund. And the matching, I'll have more information.
Okay.
Next meeting, yeah.
Thank you. Can we talk about the professional artists on the Arts Committee issue?
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do that.
All right, I'm going to start with the work plan. And as you guys know, I'm, the newbie, or one of the newbies here. And what I read here on page 19, under selection panel J3, is selection panels will always consist of an odd number of voting members drawn from the following categories, and they list 3 categories. And the very first one is artists or arts professionals. And in parentheses, it says designer, curator, educator, etc., in parentheses. And in the short time that I've been here, I actually started before I actually volunteered to come here. I don't see that there is a professional that's been on the committee.
On this committee?
Yes, on this committee. Okay,
Very much so, lifelong.
I didn't know that,
Yeah.
and I think when I first came here, I asked about this, and I also looked for, most artists that I know who are working have a portfolio that's online. And
I'm not a visual artist.
Okay, all right.
I'm a
You're-
musician,
Right.
but I'm a professional
I
artist.
get it, okay. So, but I'm focused on the visual arts.
I get that.
Right,
The whole
so,
committee is.
yeah, I get it, right,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why I said, if in fact the bulk of the job here is to advise on visual art-oriented projects, and there's nobody on the committee that is by profession a visual artist, teacher who's credentialed in visual art, somebody to that, that is qualified in that way. I, as somebody who owns property and pays taxes 2 blocks away, as a working professional artist, I'm not comfortable with any of my local taxes going to support a system like that. And I saw this in here, and I thought, well, they thought of this. They put this in here. And so what I'm saying is there needs to be, I suggest that there is some sort of provision here where if you're going to make decisions about visual art, there needs to be somebody whose expertise is visual art. And yeah, so I saw this here. I also want to note that when I saw that here, it said educator. I found this very confusing because as a credentialed teacher as well as a professor of art, my credential, which credentials me to teach art, specifically visual art, the accounting teacher, the math teacher, they cannot teach art in the public schools. Only somebody credentialed in art can. So when it says educator here, that if the educator is not, their credential as an educator is not in visual art, how is it that the Arts Committee is expected to be able to get some valid expertise from that individual in visual art? So all this to say, yes, that's why I am here to recommend that going forward here in the City of Albany on the Arts Committee, that if in fact most of the funding is for the visual art, that there always is somebody who has some expertise in visual art. Credentialed in art, professor of visual art, somebody who, if they're a professional visual artist, you know that because they've got an online presence, they've got a portfolio, they've got some sort of references. I mean, it's just like any other profession, it really is. And I've seen the results of not having this, frankly. I can say this as a resident, as somebody who, as I said, this didn't start until I actually bought property here and moved into my home and built a studio here, I've seen the results of not having that visual art expertise here. Because I have to be honest and say, when I've gone to the gallery, I know all the work that's been put into that, and a lot of the work is engaging and fun there. But as a visual artist, as a professor of art, and as a credentialed teacher of art, I think we could do better. I really do. And that's my
That's your story, and you're sticking to it.
That's my story.
Right, well,
Yes.
glad to have you. I think it's important. I think that one of the things that, and I'm sure you understand this by now, one of the reasons that a lot of us are on the committee is that we believe in the arts culture. We love the culture of the arts. And we all feel, on some level, more or less adequately capable of administering the money that we have. I really kind of see this as we're just administering. When we have a big, when we have a big project that is a lot of money, we always get an outside bunch of consultants to vet it, professional artists to vet it, and engineers and stuff like this. And we don't rely on our own taste in that regard.
That's different than what I understood.
I know, that's why I'm telling you.
Are you referring to the selection panel as you did?
Yes, the selection panels.
I had that. I'll
Yeah.
pull that up again, too.
Yeah,
the
take a look at it.
selection
And we do
panels.
farm it out
Well,
when it's
okay,
beyond our
so
expertise.
I'm very aware of the foyer, the selection that
Right.
goes on there.
That's us.
Yeah, and I have an issue about that.
Yeah.
I definitely do, yeah.
You want to have
Because
other
there are
people
local artists like myself who've been routinely rejected.
Uh-huh.
And And if you're a working artist living here and paying taxes, local taxes, your studio's here in Albany, I need to see a really good reason why that artist is being rejected. And I have not seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good point. That's a super good point, and thank you for bringing it up.
Well, I've got a couple points. In principle, I'm not opposed to that. I just think there are some complications as far as implementing it and trying to figure out how it's going to work and whether it's going to do necessarily what you intended to do. I mean, the first thing comes to how do you define, what is a professional artist? They come in all different shapes and sizes, some with professional credentials and training, other people with a lot of experience. They work in different areas, music, visual arts. We're talking about expanding the notion of art in the city, so
Literary arts.
yeah, I mean, restricting it to visual arts may not suit the needs of the committee, or may just pigeonhole the artist into one particular category and bias that artist into selecting one type of art over another. I would have to say that a lot of artists are very ecumenical and open-minded and non-judgmental, but a lot of artists are artists because they have a very precise and idiosyncratic view of the world that they work out in their artwork. And if you have someone like that, they may not have the flexibility to be the kind of bureaucratic administrators that the Arts Committee needs to be when creating public art that is very transparent, has a lot of back and forth with the community, is not just a vision, an artistic vision. So simply saying you want to have an artist on it doesn't necessarily say how that art is going to work. So that was one issue. The other issue is, another one is just the logistics of it. If you say you want to have an artist, we have a vacancy. The council person who then needs to pick a person has to be told, you can only pick this sort of person regardless of what your particular desires might be, or who you think you would prefer to have on the committee. And I'm not sure the council members would always go along with that, or would see the artist required in the way that we would want. And I just don't know how that would work out as a practical matter. Also, your point where whenever we have an issue, not simply to do with quality of the art, but stuff like maintenance, materials,
Engineering.
yeah, I mean, all those sorts of things where the public works people get involved. We always, and I mean, we have in the past always called upon a professional. And as Jenny was saying, when there's a lot of money involved, we have a selection committee. And when we're choosing a selection committee, I mean, in my experience, we've tried to find people who would be very suitable for judging the type of work that we're talking about, whether it's visual art or landscape design or something like that. I see the I see the virtue in having it, but I'm not clear exactly as to how it would be implemented, and there are some problems with it that make me a little uncomfortable with just saying blanket there should be an arts professional on the committee. I don't know in practice how that would actually work, and whether it would achieve the goals that you want. So I mean, that's my feeling.
As far as curating for the gallery, having one professional on this committee is not going to really make much difference, simply because the curating goes in with the applications, and then everybody on the committee votes. And so that's how it goes.
Yeah, I understand that, and I have a problem with that. Yeah,
That's the system.
right.
And as far as getting more artists to apply, we beat the bushes all the time. And so much depends on what shows up.
Right. I get that. I do get that. And one of the reasons I volunteered to come and work on the committee is because I don't think this is a system that is conducive to professional artists, visual artists who want to participate, particularly those like myself who live and work here and own a studio here. Yeah, so the system is what I'm saying, is I think the system needs to change.
Well, then, I think this could be something we could work on, right? We're putting out a call for artists right now
Right,
for the next season.
right.
So how can we proceed if our system needs maybe a whole-scale revision, but maybe just a tweak? I'm not sure what. I think, have you been through one cycle of this yet? I don't remember if
what
you've
do you
been
mean
through a
this?
cycle where we look at the art and we choose.
No, she has.
I'm
just
brand new.
amendment.
Yeah,
but I've been,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
been
You
through it
haven't
on the
been
other
through
end
the- you haven't
as an
been the
artist.
cycle.
I've been through it as an artist, and also with others, with students who
Yeah,
have
yeah.
entered.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I know the process from that
Yeah.
end, and I've entered a lot of
Yes, I'm
exhibitions
sure,
and all
I'm
that kind
sure.
of stuff, and I found out about the opportunity through the various art, not agencies, resources,
Yeah, yeah.
for visual artists. So I'm well aware of that.
So what I'm wondering is, if, as a group, whether we want to focus on our next cycle and perhaps look at the process before
Well,
we do.
forgive me, but
Yes.
I think that the question, what we're discussing is
Yes,
whether
we're
there
not
should be
discussing that, right.
professional artists on the arts
No, you're
committee.
absolutely right.
I think that's a
Thank you.
valid thing to discuss,
yeah,
but
yeah.
that's,
But let's see what it is. So can you be our professional artist on the committee this time?
That's why I'm here.
No.
That
that's
is why I'm
Are
here.
you satisfied with your presence on the committee?
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'll know more when we go through
Yeah,
after
I
I've been
think you
on here.
will.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, going on, that would have been my first question, is the event that's coming up or the activity
Yeah.
that's coming up that is right in my wheelhouse, which is curating the show, is what's your selection criteria? Because in the art world, it's not arbitrary. It is actually not arbitrary.
It's like-
For example, I can tell when something's plagiarized. I can tell when someone's traced stuff,
Interesting.
and I've seen stuff in some of the walls of the community center that's traced and essentially plagiarized. And so, so some of what I want to say is, how do you make that decision? Is it just what you feel like, what strikes you? What is the criteria? It's the same criteria I use when I'm grading students in college.
Sure,
It's not arbitrary.
sure.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah.
And maybe what we can do is, because we do have the foyer on the agenda
Yeah.
today as one of the last items, so maybe when we go through, Cheryl, you can talk a little bit more about the process too, of how you decide in the September meeting too.
But can I ask, excuse me as well, what is the, if you have it, or if anyone knows the language around not panelists that you were showing earlier, but for committee members? Do council members have a set of criteria that they have to evaluate or look for when they nominate us?
that's a good question.
No, at this point, it's really just who applies, and they look at everyone who applies. If they have someone removing themselves or terming out of a committee, then they say, okay, I get to nominate someone. Here's the 10 people who have applied, and they look
That's a big
at the application.
Do the other committee members have some type of veto, or is it just, I nominate this person and they're approved?
I don't believe the committee has a say. It does come from council, because this is an advisory body to the council that they choose the members.
So I'm just thinking massaging language there, or applying some criteria, even broad, that artistic expertise becomes a, important criteria for evaluation of nominees to this committee, et cetera, might be a way to,
And a way to approach it.
right.
Yeah.
Well, as
Like a
an-
smoother way, maybe, and.
As an advisory body, the committee can make recommendations, and then the council really has to be the ones to decide if they want to do that. It may depend on the individual council member as well, too, but.
I mean, on paper, I probably don't qualify, but I've been the art director of my publishing company for 30 years, so I know an awful lot about one aspect of
Well, I'm not trying to,
design.
I wouldn't necessarily be in favor of just stark language that says someone has to be a professional artist. I think that can go either way, for reasons you explained, for reasons you explained. But some type of formal criteria in the nomination process of some sort could at least, someone has to show a basic knowledge or competence in areas X, Y, or Z. I don't think you have to be a professional artist to speak
You
knowledgeably
hope
about
that would
art.
be the case for all the committees.
I think that was it.
Yeah.
My hunch on this, I wasn't here, but my hunch on this was that may have been the spirit of this that was placed
So
in the
my only concern is
work
that these
plan.
are selection panels, which formally is a separate thing from us. So something of that nature
Within
applied to the
committee.
selection of the committee, and if the council as a whole voted, or, could say like, hey, council member, I'm sure that guy's really nice, but I don't think they're qualified or something, maybe there'd be a little more a filtering process. I'm not trying to say that you have to be a professional artist to be on the committee. I could see that going either way. But some type of just written language.
The council members should have some criteria that they look at when they're evaluating.
Right.
Someone.
Mutually
Not just saying,
shared
I
public
love
criteria.
art.
Right.
Well,
And I live in Albany.
I just want to say what my experience was that one of the council members called me and did ask me questions.
Yes.
Why are you interested? What do you do? And it made a difference that, I'm a professor of art and I did blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it seemed to, he wanted to know. So
We probably all have similar stories of that, of the interview.
the interview, right, yeah.
It's a really good point.
I'd just like to leave you with one suggestion that
Yeah.
is maybe more actionable than any of this other stuff. And that would be that in this upcoming opportunity to visit or revisit how you make selections, that you consider looking at the artists who enter and focusing first on local artists. First on local
Like
artists.
hyper-local,
Yeah, like Albany.
yeah.
People
Yeah.
who are working here in Albany, artists who enter who are here in Albany.
And weighting that a little?
Yes.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah,
We can't
but that's a
really-
suggestion, is
It is.
one way to start is keeping it local.
Yeah.
Support our local artists here first, before we go outside. That's really important to me as an artist
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I also want to say, just in the spirit of collegiality, that when we say, that we use "we" as a term, when we look at the next thing instead of when you look at it, that we really, it will increase my trust in the process if I really think you're on board. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all really just volunteering here. We like our committee, but we also, it's work, but we need to know that there's not a feeling of us being judged for what we're doing also. So if we can use the spirit of "we" instead of a spirit of "you guys did this wrong for a million years," that would be great for me. Thank you.
Great.
Can we move on, and then we'll get back to the foyer? Thank you. 6.4, adding art to fire hydrants. Can somebody talk about this?
Sure. And this came up actually from a council member, from Peggy McQuaid, who used to be on the Arts Committee.
Right.
And I believe it was her who looked into it, and it was kind of a dead end, but she has new and exciting news and a
Does,
connection at EB Mud.
Okay.
And wanted to.
Ed basically said, forget it.
I said
Right.
no.
Who,
When we did this one
it was fire.
time, and we had the fire hydrants all painted,
Yeah.
and EB Mud found out about it, and they had a fit, to say the least, because
They had to be all repainted.
They're all color-coded.
they were all
yeah.
color-coded,
Right.
and they all had to, they got permission from somebody, but I don't know exactly who got the
Let
permission.
us keep them
So
for a
They
year.
let us keep them for a year, and then they painted all
Yeah,
over them.
they
It was-
repainted them.
That
It
was
was
nice
so
of them.
sad.
Peggy has new.
She has new insider information, apparently.
Let's hear it.
She's-
Terrific.
She says
You
she has a
mean, you
new
mean it
con-
wasn't known that they were color-coded when the project?
We got permission from the city and
The city
everything. We
said
went through
fine.
all the steps.
And they didn't know it was
We
color?
didn't know either. We went through the
Yeah.
whole thing, and
Wow.
then we had, each fire hydrant, people went and took a look
tried.
at it. and,
Wow.
We went
Yeah,
through
yeah.
the
Wow.
whole thing, and it was really, they were
Wow.
very charming. And they were charming for about a year, and then they came in and repainted them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Peggy's new contacts, sounds like maybe the rules have changed or something, so wanted to bring it up and wanted to see if it was something that anyone, perhaps adding it to the work plan, so that the committee, if there's someone on the committee that would like to reach out and see if that's something
Maybe
that's
this person knows as little as the person last time.
at EB Mud.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's worth, yeah, she wanted us to bring it up,
Worth
so we
following,
said we would, and
Yeah.
You know what,
Hear
I
your
will
thoughts.
call EB Mud and ask them if it's feasible.
Okay.
Is that an action item that we need to take? I think we need to take before we do anything else.
Yeah.
Does she have an actual
Person?
to talk to?
so yeah, I can, thank you,
Yes,
Jenny. I
send-
can
Yes, I'll
put it
deal.
on too, okay.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely, because
Yeah.
it was a fun project.
So
People
I'm
really
curious,
liked it.
so you guys, you found the artist and then you got the paint and everybody, how did this work?
They, I believe.
They submitted designs.
They submitted a design.
They submitted designs, and they had to do with where the fire hydrant was, so it kind of related to what was going on. They were very, very charming.
Yeah, they presented color sketches of how
sketches and-
Right.
they were going to, because it's easy for them to draw
Yeah.
a fire hydrant. And then we picked the people
picked the
that
people
we
we
liked,
liked.
and
How many were there?
how many were there? Six
Six,
or
maybe
so?
eight,
Yeah.
something like, they were very, very, very.
And then who paid, the city paid for the
The
paint?
city paid for the paint, and the people who applied got
Yeah.
grouped together, and they painted them. They were.
It wasn't very expensive. I mean,
No,
the
it
most
wasn't
complicated thing was the process, right, of,
Yeah,
because we had a public comment, didn't we have?
they had to have public comment.
Public comment, I mean, or the design? You had to put the design, make it available?
I don't think so.
Did we have public
I don't think
comment?
we did
No?
on this one. 'cause
We
they
will
were
now.
so small.
You know we will.
But I don't think we had public comment.
And who was, were you all the selection committee?
No, this was
not.
like
It was
10 years
10
ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite a while ago. Peggy was on the committee, and what's his name? Doug.
You mean me?
No,
The Arts Committee was not the selection committee? Who made the selection?
Doug Donaldson?
Donaldson. He took it over, and he ran with it.
Right.
I'm sorry?
I'm just wondering, how were the artists selected for that project?
I think it was a
Arts
public
committee.
call, and people,
Public call, and people submitted
people just
things.
submitted.
But somebody had to make a
Arts
selection.
committee
Arts
did.
committee did.
Oh,
The Arts
yeah, the
Committee
Arts
made it, okay, so you curated
As
that
a
one?
group.
You made
Yes.
everybody here, right,
Yeah,
okay.
well, Peter and I were on the committee. These
I was not.
Three were not.
Got it, okay, but the committee
The
made it.
committee, yeah.
Back in that day, we had actual agendas, so you could find out as opposed to now.
Yes.
This looks like an agenda to me.
I mean, minutes.
Oh,
Oh, instead of
Go out and
action
find out
minutes.
who did what and what happened.
wow, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, well,
All right, there's an action item on this, so we'll add to the minutes, which is that I'm going to call, Eva's going to send me the name of the contact at EMUD, and I'm going to call him. I'm
Great.
taking it on. 6.5, fall into haiku.
okay. So, pardon me. So Becca Black, who's the poet laureate and very involved in the haiku program now, and I I've had a couple meetings and discussions, and we've kind of got our plans all set for how we're doing it this year. This is the fourth annual Fall into Haiku program, and the theme this year, with your approval, which we hope we'll get, is Hills and Bay.
Hills and,
Last year, it was urban nature, and this year, it's going kind of back to hills and bay. Those are
and
the
Bay.
kind of landscapes that define the town, and people are free to ignore the theme if they want, but it's just really meant to stimulate their imagination and maybe get some coherence in the submissions. So the rough schedule is that and I'll work with you on this, Eva. The submissions are open from August 15th to October 1st. On Tuesday, September 24th, there will be a community haiku writing workshop and submission party from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Becca will kind of lead everyone in talking about haiku, and then everyone will have a chance to compose haiku on the spot and submit them.
What was the date on that?
Pardon me?
party? The party date again?
Tuesday, September 24th. She's talked with Rachel, is that the person at the library, the new
Yeah,
director? So they've picked out a date.
Okay, Great.
And then we're going to be publicizing Fall into Haiku at the Solano Stroll. So, Eva, I'd like the city to have some space for us. We'll probably have postcards. And Becca is also going to be leading workshops for Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts and perhaps some other groups. So as I said, the deadline for submissions is October 1st. Between then and approximately October 11th, Becca and I, and we hope, like last year, we'll have a couple kids from the Albany High School who are interested in writing and poetry, will help us pick out the, we're not calling them winning haiku because that's not the point, but the final selections. And we will notify the winners mid-October, and then we'll print up the signs and all the other materials that go with it from by about the end of October. Excuse me. And the plan is to get the signs up around the weekend of November 8th. And then week of November 10th, Becca wants to have a haiku reading and celebration at the library or the community center. And she says, we will celebrate the Fall into Haiku program by inviting poets to read their winning poems or their selected poems. We have not done that before, so this will be kind of a new event. And it's kind of in conjunction with what the library is doing to try and reestablish the library as a center for poetry in the East Bay. There's a lot more poetry action going on now. St. Albans Episcopal Church apparently is going to be having poetry readings, and there's other stuff that's happening. So let's see. Oh, and then the signs will stay up till maybe around December 1st or maybe a week later. So they'll be up around 3 to 4 weeks, which I think is plenty. And this is all, last year we got stalled because there was so much smoke. Couldn't walk around town.
Right.
So who knows what'll happen this year. And then the signs will come down, and the people who submitted poems and were selected, they'll have a chance to actually take their sign home with them and put it on their wall.
Peter, did you have a funding report for us?
Yes. We received a grant from the Albany Community Foundation for $880 to cover the cost of printing the signs and the production work that goes into it. And it'll probably all be used up, I would suspect.
Would talk.
And we're doing postcards too, similar to what we did last year.
Nice. You talked last time after it was, when you came back and reported right after it happened, that it was really hard to put things in the big belly garbage things, and we talked about possibly.
Well, everything was a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
We didn't have enough volunteers, so
So that was a big problem.
I ended up doing much of the work. I did have a helper at one point. And then the big bellies were just a problem because the screws didn't work. They were really cruddy and disgusting to touch sometimes. And a lot of the problem, and I see this is just as bad now, is that the plastic panels that protect the interior where you put posters and things, they're heavily graffitied up in some instances. So you can't put anything in there because it's not visible.
So who's in charge of those?
Well, Public Works, I assume.
Works. So can we knock on Public Works' door and ask them to
Be nice if they could
Good
replace,
audit,
yeah,
I would-
clean them at least.
clean
yeah.
them and help with putting,
They
cleaning them would be,
usually they do new,
Well,
the new
the sleeve,
plexiglass.
yeah. I don't think those sleeves are probably between $5 and $10 a piece, I imagine, if they buy them in bulk, and they just need to be replaced.
Right, right.
so
I
that
would like
be-
to propose that we get some support for this, for presenting the haiku again, that you don't do it by yourself,
Absolutely.
and that you have like
That would be great.
adequate support, like enthusiastic and overwhelming support. And so if you want, when the time comes, if you want me to go to some of the service committees or to talk it out with other people, I will do that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, maybe Becca can find some of the kids at high school, maybe
Yeah.
the, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, there you go, right, yeah, all right,
No
good.
further.
Ziva may be able to rally
Yeah.
some people.
I'd be
and-
cool with doing that.
So I can give instructions, and you know, what we do is each poem has got a unique number. And so as long as I know roughly what block that is on, I put it on a Google map with all the poems there, so people can use that map and find where their poem is, and then they go see and take a picture of it.
Yeah, I think a nice number of like 10 to 12 people.
Yes.
Some high school, some committee members to support Peter.
I
think
get
would
done
be-
really fast.
Yeah, it would
There you
be
go.
Oh.
much more
It'd be fun.
doable.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do it.
It'd be fun.
Anything else about?
So I would just like, you know, the committee's approval to go ahead on this basis and theme Hills and Bay. I hope it's okay with everyone.
Do you need a vote on it?
I don't know. Do I need a vote on it? No.
Just a thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, going out with the shift and deciding to go out to Community Foundation was a great idea, so thank you for reaching out and such great news
Yeah,
up
well, if
there.
we hadn't got the money, we would have canceled it,
Right.
yeah.
Right, right.
And maybe I should say that maybe by next year, we will have revised the language such that the money in the fund will be available for stuff like this, but I get the feeling that maybe that's not going to happen, so.
That's on the agenda for next time.
Yeah, okay, but it impacts programs like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It absolutely does. Okay, if everybody's okay with this, I'm going to move on for, this is a quick one, I hope. 6-6 Community Center Foyer Gallery.
Okay. Couple of things. We have a new show that is opening on the July 13th.
Great.
The reception is on the 14th. It's Betsy Kendall, who is a local artist, lives in Albany. She's shown with us before. So the postcards are lovely, and that will be our usual schedule, 4 o'clock for opening on that Sunday, the 14th, I believe it is, and we're looking forward to it. Also, Jenny did the opening for April since I was out of town. From what I gather, it went very well. Her pictures were related to a music piece that her choral group does, and the choral group came and sang. From what Jenny said,
It was amazing.
it was amazing.
It was amazing. There were 20 singers and singing a cappella in the foyer on a Sunday afternoon. It was like, oh, God, I was in heaven.
The library really liked it, too. A couple staff mentioned, like, well, that was just lovely.
It was just
Yeah.
lovely. And I'll just say that the foyer is an amazing sounding room for
Good
acoustic
acoustics.
music.
We have had other artists bring in
Yeah,
acoustic music.
it's fantastic.
And it does work beautifully, and it makes
Right.
for a really lively and quite wonderful
Yeah.
opening. So, so thank you for
Yep.
taking care of that. Sorry I was not here, but
Yeah.
it went very smoothly. from
It's a
what I
good
gather.
cause. It's for a good
And
cause.
the show looks very nice.
does.
She shorted us 2 pieces. I'm not happy about that, but
Yeah.
I wasn't here. And-
Right.
And Jenny is a
I-
much nicer person than
I
I am, and so she got away with it. So that's how these things go.
The next show is
Is Betsy's.
the one after that.
The one after that is Aura Clay.
So can we get that postcard?
Yes,
The-
I will do
The stuff
that.
rolling, send me that, and I'll.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I won't
That should be a
forget.
very interesting exhibit because it's quilts. And
Oh,
we'll
right.
see how this all comes together. So that's that for the gallery.
Did you want to talk just quickly about the selection process, like how that works?
The selection process works just as I described it to you. We hit the bushes, we ask people, I'm going to need more of these, by the way, can I pick those up tomorrow? They are,
Oh, maybe.
we put these out all over town. It is in the weekly announcement now. City sends out, you can't get more local than that. And we get who we get. Then when everything comes in, on the
August
meeting-
20th, I think, is the
August 20th
deadline,
is the
right?
deadline. When everything comes in, usually by the end of August, because artists are the way they are. And then our meeting in September, everything is laid out, and we go through and look at all of the work. Everybody, we've been getting the packets ahead of time so that you
Right.
can actually see it online, so you can read the resumes, you can see the pictures, or whatever people are submitting. Then we choose. And basically, it is a matter of what people are interested in, what they feel will make a good show in the gallery.
And everyone picks their top three,
Everybody
and
picks their
they're
top three, and then.
ranked on how many votes they
ranked
get.
On how many votes, then,
I will say one of the criterion that I use is, I think of what will people like beyond just the quality of the art itself. I think in terms of what would be good for that particular space and the people who hang out there, and in particular people who are just passing through and you want to catch their eye and maybe entertain them or astonish them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an example of
Criteria.
some criteria that,
And there's also discussion amongst the
Yeah.
committee, too. So there is time to
discuss
to
and-
discuss and
when
say,
we wander around and look, and
Yeah.
people give their opinions.
yeah,
and
we
things.
set it all up kind of in here so everyone can look, and then people can talk of,
Talk, and then we
oh.
sit down and
everyone votes.
everyone votes.
I think it might be useful, though, to have, because I know we sometimes do this in my publishing association when we have contests that people have to judge. And, if you're a professional or, it's sort of like, well, I know it's good, I have a sense that it's good or something. But it's often helpful to have some sort of checklist to look at, to go through and make sure that you're thinking about all the things that you're supposed to be thinking about, that you're not diverted by something extraneous and maybe not as important, but that you're really focusing on the things that you might not normally, you might not focus on because that's not your training or that's not your orientation. So, having a simple list of, a checklist for us to use to evaluate things might be very useful.
Lisa, are you interested in doing that?
Putting together a list.
Checklist
Yeah,
for
like
us
a
to
little
take a look
rubric
at?
or something?
I'll take a stab at it.
Take a stab at it. If you want to
I'll
get
take a
together
stab at
some
it.
time before
Okay.
that happens, I'll glad
For
to meet with you.
November, did you say?
No, we're looking at September.
September, okay, I'll take a
Great.
stab at it.
Take a
I'll
stab
try.
at it, give me a call, or
Okay.
shoot me an email, and we can meet for coffee and, hash out some stuff.
Okay, like maybe 6 bullet items or
Yeah,
something.
Yeah.
nothing more than that, and just, kind of something to, as Peter said, to train the eye at a little bit.
Sure, I'll take
See
it,
what
I'll
you
try
think.
it.
Give it a shot.
Thanks, that'd be great.
That would be great. That would be terrific. And that's, I think, pretty much it.
Great. All right.
So,
Oh, go
one
ahead,
last
please.
thing. Please find me more artists.
Yeah, we will.
I beg this every year.
Yeah.
Find me more artists, and then
We
we'll,
received one.
Can I
so-
just say
one
something
so
about
far.
that?
Yeah.
Just, some of the challenges for artists are the fee. The fee, I'm just sharing with you what it's like
I'll
on the other
share
side.
with you, this is a remarkably low fee.
But that's my experience.
How much is the fee?
That's my experience. Last time, it
20?
was $35 the last
No,
time.
no, no, no.
When I entered, it was $35.
I
Yeah,
can,
that's what it was.
I can find out.
So just to let you know, just to share from my point of view, what my experience has been over the last over 50 years, is the fee to enter often gets in the way for artists. And
It's 20.
finding,
It's 20. Okay, she just looked it up, it's 20.
Okay, that's great. It's 20.
20.
The average is 35 now out there for,
For us, we do
okay,
20.
that's great. That's great.
Basically, then there is a $50 fee if your show is accepted, because you have to,
Got it.
you know.
Yeah,
pay
right,
for
I get
certain
that. But
things.
just to let you know, that those are the challenges. The other thing is that for a lot of artists, it's difficult to pull together all, the various requirements for a lot of exhibits are, very specific and change, and so somebody might have to go reformat, whatever it is that's been asked for, all that kind of thing. So just to let you know, that's why it'll discourage, like, somebody, especially if it's a student, for example, who's a graduate student, they're going to say, I'm not going to bother with this right now. I
And
don't
that's
have time.
because they might have a number of different places that they're
Oh, yeah,
submitting stuff to,
right,
so
right.
they can't,
They're
spend.
prioritizing.
Yeah,
right,
they're going to
or-
prioritize
And
it,
also,
right.
they're looking at, okay, bang for the buck. If let's say I do get accepted into this show, that I have $20, let's say. Am I going to spend the $20 for this particular entry or the one that's a national show that, has, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You're weighing it.
Yes.
That's what I do all the time.
I understand completely. That having been said, $20 is very reasonable, and that is what we need to charge.
We good? Okay, I want to know, since we're moving our mural topic up, do we do item 7 now, or do we wait, do we do the mural topic and then do?
The longer we can wait, the better, because then Hamina can be here. So yeah,
Okay,
you
can we just go to item 7, future agenda items, and people weigh in? I know that I would like a discussion of the ordinance, the city ordinance, and I'll have some research,
Which one?
the arts ordinance, arts fund,
Oh, the art and public places
art
fund?
and public places fund.
And the likelihood of having a report or a staff memo, the memo from the city attorney for next meeting will be,
Is higher?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Are you also talking about the master plan and the language?
Talking about the language of the ordinance restricting us to visual arts.
Visual arts.
The in lieu funds.
Right, so is that just the art and public places fund ordinance, or do we also have to get into the master plan itself?
I don't know, Peter. What do you think?
What are you trying to say?
I don't know.
What are you asking?
Being led on here.
No, it's,
I don't know.
why don't we put the master plan and the AP, the art
Thank
and
you.
public places fund as a whole package to discuss that?
Thank you.
That point. Then,
And I see them as two, we can put both on as agenda items. I see them as 2 agenda items. Is that okay?
well, I think it's a single issue is kind of expanding the definition of what
Of the
is.
ordinance, but then also the topic of revising the master plan overall, we've discussed
All right,
as well,
okay,
right?
All right,
I
okay.
think one will dictate how we approach the other.
The other, I think so. I
Yeah.
think it is a flow.
But I'll put both.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I wasn't like fishing.
It's like, what am
Are
I
we-
supposed to say? What was our safe word at the city council?
Yeah, really.
Porcupine.
There's only one right answer.
Anybody else? We want to have updates, right? Maybe there'll be an update on the sculpture loan, put it in.
Yep.
Will we have a new show at the foyer before then? Or is it July 14th? You can tell us about
It will
it.
have opened,
We'll have
right?
opened, right.
Yeah,
So
you can tell
yes,
us about it.
I'll tell you
Will
that.
you work?
Did you want to do
work
that as an
on
agenda item or
the
just as an
language of
update?
the,
Agenda, okay.
Selection criteria?
Yes, we have a-
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah, sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want to do it for the next meeting?
Yeah, I'll come up with
Great,
something.
awesome.
Meet in August.
Put that under the.
We
I
don't
did-
meet
I
in
missed it.
August.
But we're
Yes.
selecting in September, so it'd be
So
good to
that's
have
what
it
I'm
all.
saying. If we could have it by the July meeting, since we don't meet in August, but we
That'll
select
go
in
under
September, that would be
the
wonderful.
gallery.
Gallery.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Okay.
I'll have something on the Film Fest.
Okay.
Great.
Lisa, we put that under the gallery present agenda
Okay.
thing.
Sorry?
And what-
We just put it under the
Not
gallery.
yet, but I've also been
Okay.
very busy coaching Little League, so
Oh,
hopefully
yeah.
now I
You're
can
a Little
dive
League
back.
coach.
Now I can
Yeah, well,
dive
your
back
life
into
is
this. Well, now it's over, so
Thank
now
God.
hopefully I can surprise you.
Can people look into service, can you look into the high school for service? I know that school is winding down, I know you're in finals week, but can you put it in the back of your mind that for September to start looking for people to, clubs that may be able to help out with a haiku,
Oh, okay.
fall into haiku installation?
Oh,
That'd be
it's
great.
really close.
Thank you.
7 minutes left to go.
Eva, anything?
I put creek art as
Good
well.
idea. Good idea.
Yep.
There's
And just-
a question that I have. Can you put creek art / creek bridge art? That you and Andy and I talked about when we went to look at the sites for the sculpture loan.
Right. In what context? I just want to make sure it fits into the work plan. If it's not on the work
It's not
plan,
on the work plan. It's like, I need to know how to move forward. How can we move forward on that?
on what?
On the bridge art. that-
On
that we ta- on
New or?
refurbishing the
Refurbishing.
coordinations. Yeah, retile, we talked about tile. I'm just don't know what the process would even be for us to be able to make that bridge beautiful. So if that could be an item, that would be great.
I can have more information on that too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll have a report back on the adding art to fire hydrants, I hope.
Okay. And haiku, did we want to put on next or no?
I don't think they'll,
Okay.
I'll let you know if.
Yeah. Before.
I
Okay.
don't think so.
Okay.
Down to the wire.
All right. Well, we can get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Can we
You're
move
up.
to your, can we move to the
Yeah.
community arts
Everyone's
project?
excited
Thank
to
you.
see it. I might want to move, is that table going to be enough? Otherwise, we can move this table. That table? Okay. And they have it by the speaker. If it starts to blow away, we'll get creative and put phones or something
Does
down.
anybody need any background on this project?
I do. I
Okay,
don't know
great.
what we're
Yeah.
looking at.
This is a public mural project.
I think I remember hearing about
Yes,
this
so,
last
so
time. Okay.
this team, Humana and Christian, have done a giant, very public mural with community input in Richmond, and then they applied to the Community Foundation, and they're doing a very large public mural on San Pablo Avenue on the face of a building by the El Cerrito border of Albany, to represent Albany. And I hope we have a report back from community meetings that they held at the library, although it was on Passover.
It was at the community center,
At the
yeah,
community center,
and
yeah,
they
it
took
was like
feedback.
it was
from
buzzkill.
Jesus.
No.
Jews didn't weigh in.
No, not that.
You're not getting your
Probably
vote.
why I didn't even know about it. Yeah.
Anyway, so there, we love
We
this, we love this,
certainly
this
would
work,
have
these people, and we
pass
feel
over
real excited about this project. So they're bringing it forward, and I'm sure he's going to report back on some of the images and ideas that the community brought to that meeting.
So the mural represents Albany? Is that, am I understanding this correctly? Okay.
The theme was debunking stereotypes. So I believe, and Christian will talk more about this, but stereotypes in our community were
In the
discussed.
Albany, in the community of
In the
Albany?
community, yep.
Okay.
And then, so this is the debunking them, and
And
Christian
this
can
is
talk to
not
that.
being done with public money, right? So,
No, it is.
It is.
It
It's
is?
part of the arts fund.
oh, it is
You-
part of the.
You
art-
voted on it,
Did
yeah.
we vote on this?
10,000.
All right,
So,
okay.
so 14,000 was set aside.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
And from the applications.
This is part of, this is the community
Community
project.
Community
projects, yeah. Community projects, not the community fund.
That's right, it's
Right.
the community
So community projects, if you have any questions, the master plan has a whole section on what the process was and everything. So you can look back through that. And then being under $10,000 avoided the, might have to figure out some paperweights. I can also turn off the fans here in a second, but under $10,000 avoids the more lengthy process of going through a selection panel, so it streamlined it a little bit too. Just to talk a little bit about the process is that if the Christian and Jimena would love your feedback. So if there's anything, this this is a draft, so it's not the final. If there's any feedback you'd like to provide, they'd love to hear it. And once the committee decides, yes, let's go for it, then it would go to city council, and we would enter into a contract, and then it would all go from there.
Yeah, hello? This one is like the first draft
Yeah.
where we are making. And I don't know how I can, show the...
Yeah, we can go on a field trip.
We'll go to you.
Yeah, everyone can
Come
go
to
look.
you.
All right, nice.
Yeah, everyone
Let's
can
come
kind
on.
of take a peek, and you can talk and walk. Christian, do you need some, like, phones or keys or paperweights?
Do you want phones to put
To
on
put-
to hold it down?
No, you have tape or something around? No, it's okay.
Okay, maybe we can just hold it.
Oh, yeah, the fan. I see.
This is well, the big part of the mural comes with two different walls. This one is the big wall, and this one is the small wall, which is the bed,
Out of that hospital?
bed
Yes, yeah.
hospital. And then we first started talking with the people in Albany, and then we did a series of different, interviews with people. And Jimena is coming, and she's gonna explain, how we take all these topics about the Albany. But for now, I can tell there's two important things. One is a lot of people. Well, the banking stereotype is trying to, talk about what is not really true, and there's two things important in Albany. What I can tell now, one is Albany is not a diverse city, and the other one is just rich people live in Albany. There's no like
Economic thinkers.
yeah, there's like workers, they don't live here in Albany, which is not true. And also, we can tell Albany is really diverse, And for that, in this mural, is you can see different kids. And these kids, this is the reference. The kids, of course, are with different ethnicity. And the idea is, represent the diverse of Albany. And for that, all these kids are going to be, with different ethnicity. And that's one, the most important. But the other one is the workers. And we, in this corner, we're gonna work with this. I'm not sure if he's here, but he's like a carpenter who represents, the working class in Albany. And we are still working in this area. We need to adjust. This guy is kind of separated with all
Yeah.
these kids, but we need to keep working on that area. And another important topic is the Muslim homophobic. And a lot of kids especially talk about that. And we also really like to represent that to these little ladies over there. And here, always when we do this project, we work with the community. And the more easy way to work with the community is, make all of these stuff, all these flowers, and we work with the community with this. And you can see there's different type of flowers, and that's what the community is gonna help to,
We'll paint them.
yes, yes. And then that's
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
that's the main thing for now.
Then you have the two-dad family.
Yes. That's another issue in Albany. A lot of people talk about that,
Yeah,
about the, try to represent, the more, diverse type of family, around Albany. And it's an appendix hospital, and we put part of the family a little, well, it's not a little town, it's a big town. She was a big problem. And the other important thing is Albany is a sanctuary city. We are that one if everybody's okay.
I like the presence of a lot of children because I think that's a really big part of living in Albany is that the children, you put it here because they want to raise their children.
Yes.
You know, it's like, that's a deal. So we have to integrate, all those people who are working here with their children.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, here is another reference. The idea is represent beauty and of course also happiness for the kids. And you can see these people really happy.
You definitely get that sense looking at it.
Yeah. Happy kids.
There's too many, concepts when we interview to the people.
There were too many concepts.
Yeah, we can, make a mural for years. We need to simplify,
Yeah.
The ideas.
Yeah.
For that, we take, the diversity and also, the working class environment.
But then we have this giant dog. I mean, it's kind of the biggest thing. But it also isn't on the pet hospital, so I get yes.
Yeah, we can adjust. We can try to talk with the owner. We can try to talk with the owner and say, well, we need
There's the
to
dog park.
simplify the yeah.
Okay. Do you know what, Commissioner, do you know what you're going to do?
Where are cats?
See where the
Yeah, they
Hello,
were.
cat here. What about the crows and the turkeys?
Yeah.
Where are the turkeys?
Yeah,
Yes.
you know what? It's, yeah.
Yeah, I think the
Yeah,
turkeys
people
would make,
talk
we gotta
about
put a
turkeys.
stand. What's
Don't know
with
it's
this?
Albany.
Well,
That's
that's,
true.
that's easy to add. And it's
Yeah.
gonna be beautiful because we have a lot of flowers in here
Yeah.
and of course we can do
Turkeys.
Yeah.
So will those be native plants?
Yes, we're gonna, now this is an example, but also we're gonna try to, work with native plants,
Isn't this going to be like 3D with, or is it?
Yes,
Oh, it is?
yes.
So how's that going?
Jimena is working with the glass, free glass, and all these, flowers, all this stuff, like leaves, can be by glass.
So it's going to be a mosaic?
Yes,
You're gonna have mosaic.
not all the mural, but some places, we're gonna do that, yeah.
Are the characters here, the figures, are these familiar faces here? Are these specific, folks that are, have been in Albany for ages? Like, would I recognize any of these?
Are they real people? You think?
Yeah, real people.
Well,
Like this guy who's cutting.
this is just, example, but if we get the money, of course, we can go.
Find the real guy.
Find the real,
Or gal.
image of this one, and this is just like an example. We can make the mural with this, Of course, the kids, we need to do kind of different because this is on a picture, We really like to not really do a portrait of this kid,
Right.
something simple,
Right.
So this is their layout,
Yes.
basically, it's like a composition.
It's the composition.
Because it'd be really cool to have some
Yeah,
recognizable
it's gonna
people
be-
that, everybody in the community knows and has come to love and cherish.
Yeah, we went to the Cobra Middle School,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw too many kids where they can be in the mural. It's gonna be, I really like to do that, but
Do you need to get permission?
yeah, for sure, for sure, we need to get permission. Yes. But this is the main idea, it's, we are trying to talk about diversity and in the beautiful way, That's the main idea.
Well, I welcome that. When I first moved to Albany, there was the John Birch Society office on Solano Avenue.
Yeah, the four corners.
Yeah, John Birch, for the American
I
Way.
have no idea.
Yes, and I moved from Berkeley, and I thought, oh, God, what is that?
I'm so close to Berkeley, on that edge of Berkeley.
Albany was very conservative.
Conservative.
Because there's a lot of history I still don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, up until the 1980s.
yeah.
Oh.
Is that how the cross came to be, like the giant cross?
No,
Oh, I don't look forward to hearing that story. I figured somebody here is going to tell me that story. Somebody has to
It's a
tell me
long
that.
one.
Yeah, I figured someone's going to tell me that story.
Yeah,
Let's get Rochelle Mason. She's the expert on this.
She's the expert on that.
Well, Christian, what do you need from us? Because this looks like a really great start.
oh, thank you so much. Now, my wife Jimena, she should be here because she talked with, with the community in Albany. She knows everything, about the process more than
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But
Here she is.
uh,
Yeah, just as you say her name. Yeah, you called her
Get
in.
started. Awesome.
Yay. Hi. Hannah.
oh, I'm really glad to see you.
We didn't talk.
We was ready for you.
Okay, awesome. Sorry, my students kindly left early. Where are we at?
We was just talking about, the two important topics, diversity and working class.
Yeah, so we did a lot of, there was a lot of parts in the process. What do you want me to, did you want us to?
We haven't been using the microphone.
All
Everyone just has to
right.
memorize it. Maybe it's
All right.
picking the sound up a little bit, but.
Okay, so I'll just stand here. So, we had, you want to know what we did?
Mhm.
All right, so Christian changed a mural of his in the Albany.
Yeah, that new mural?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one with the leaves.
Yes.
So we used that opportunity he painted next to there with some flyers and talked to neighbors about the project. They were all really happy. And, I started asking opinions, so people gave me some feedback. We did the same Christian was invited to paint at the Gilman Art Walk. So I also there, I asked people that were neighbors, from Albany and somewhere. So we talked a little bit about it there. Then we did the session with the community. It was about 12 people, and so there we also talked about many things. We brought in a couple of sites like Familias Latinas in Albany. I can't remember. Yeah, I sent as many emails as I could about the suggestions you made, like the Jewish Community Center. I didn't get a lot of responses, maybe like one or two, and then we opened like an email account that is, with the name, so people, if they didn't feel comfortable talking, they could reply. We got a couple of emails, not too many. But then some of those people made suggestions, and then we got invited to the middle school. So I spoke to about 90 kids, 95 kids. And I also talked to some store owners when we were promoting the event. So I wrote little flyers and I explained what it was about. And so that was also great. And then the children, it was awesome to talk to them. So from all of that, we can say that at first I thought it was like, wow, where are the stereotypes? Come on, guys. They were talking a little bit about, the adults were talking a little bit about how Albany is seen, right? And they talked about a couple of topics like, we're a sanctuary city. And I don't think people know that. They talked about homelessness. Even though it wasn't a stereotypical thing, the part was that Albany, since they didn't have before, they didn't have I don't know if they do now, but I know they have some kind of services. They didn't have any services or any affordable housing, that maybe wasn't any policies in place for homelessness. So there was a lady from the city, I forgot her name. She's the vice.
She's everywhere.
And she, we talked a little bit about that. So they told us great stories about Albany that we didn't know. So I thought that was very awesome. And all elder, like a little bit older people came to that meeting. So that was great because we could get different perspectives from the different ages. So I really appreciated that. class, like, even some youth. That was the best part because there were some, young people that are maybe 25, 27, then the kids, so it really kind of hit all ages. And so then they were like, whenever somebody gives me a ride to Albany, they're like, Albany, there's, more people that are working class here. So that was a stereotype. Kids, also talked about that. So they suggested that the mural should show diversity. A lot of people talk about some general, but I think we had them other places too, like Islamophobia, like people of color committing more crimes, using drugs. They even talk about Irish people drinking.
The Ivy Room. The Hotsy Totsy Club.
That's what that one kid said about that. They also asked us to include something that would honor the LGBTQ and the other letters that are new that I'm missing in our mural. And one other adult had told us, parenting among homosexual couples, is really like still being kind of bring stereotypes, people that they won't be able to be good parents. So bringing those things together, that's one of the part of the designs includes that. So I think that we did with the mural, like having a lot of those. They talked about gender stereotypes, more broad, but to Albany, some of those that is not diverse, and it was really interesting to talk to the kids. I really enjoyed it. So this is what we came up with. We wanted to include some of the, workers, people doing things that were, just jobs. Diversity. We wanted to include, because we wanted to go with the surroundings, to include a mechanic, maybe, because it's Donna Mayer's, right? And then an animal for the animal hospital to kind of make it go with the context of the place. And then we found this women that, were wearing a hijab. So I would say backwards. So we liked it, and they're very kind and warm. They asked us to include a couple of things, so we thought about the sanctuary ceiling could be one. And that's where we're at. After the design was ready, I went to show it to Dana Mayer and the animal hospital. They were really happy. And I also went to there's a mechanic shop across the street. There used to be a neighbor, so we Then I went to the new beer spot. They said Christian can drink a beer when it's too hot, and he's painting. I also went to the appliances. They were kind of confused as to why I was there.
That's very confusing.
They still looked at it and were thankful. And so those are all the steps that we did. I think those were our last steps.
Great. Yeah, you did it. That sounds fantastic.
A lot of
It's like,
input.
really, and you just have such a great personality to gather that kind of have those conversations. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just think you should have turkeys on it.
Turkeys.
Yeah, I did a mural with wild turkeys.
There you go.
Yeah, it's all covered up with native plants now.
They were
Yeah, I
I
agree.
don't know if anyone saw it in the video.
Native, I think the wild turkey idea is quite,
Website.
they want an animal?
I see that there's like no representation of senior citizens, for
Well,
example.
there you go. And we're not talking personally.
No, yeah, I'm not.
You're not
I'm not there
volunteering?
soon.
Me neither.
But I'm thinking that, you were saying that you can't put everything in.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, what are some of the things that you also left out? If you had like a larger space, would put everything in. Do you feel like this represents everything that you wanted to say, or do you still feel?
There's always
more to
more
do?
to say. You know, when we did it before, it was also like, we could have done more murals with the same information. But you know, like, they talked a lot about crimes in the communities of color, that I think when you do a counter-narrative of that, you can really kind of have people doing great things, you know, like that we're missing. We know there's a lot of school, you know, population in Albany, so I think kids could be, I think, but you're right, I don't know, I don't know how Christian feels about that.
You've got a lot of kids here. You might be able to.
Got a kid?
You might be able to go to slot.
You cut the yard.
You might tell, yeah,
Yeah, I think including seniors is very good.
it's very important.
It is
Very,
very
active.
We have a very
Yes.
active
Pickleball,
senior.
maybe.
That would, well, that may be taking up too much.
Yeah.
Well, with a racket or something.
I was
Definitely not with a rubber.
We have a big pickleball community here.
It also could be like standing, I don't know, like, could be like, you know, taking a while, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hanging with a kid.
Holding a
Well,
kid.
you've got the plants, you've got this whole theme of I was asking about native plants, but, here in Albany, there's a swap, a plant swap.
That's right.
Years ago to that, so you might be able to,
The
kind of
garden
convert
swap.
this to some
Yeah.
of the
Put some
seniors,
seeds.
trading the plants.
Plants. Oh,
That's
a
important because we're talking about sustainability and
Yes.
green, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Green,
Yeah, maybe if we moved, I don't know, but I would have to talk to Christine.
environmental, issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
It's
Yeah,
really
that'd be
important.
really nice.
Sustainability,
Exactly.
keeping fed,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
grow
yeah.
our own.
No, that sounds great, and for that area, that sounds, oh, I know what I forgot. Oops. I forgot to bring you some samples of glass.
Oh, yeah, next time, please.
So,
I'm so excited
I
about that.
had a bag
Oh, the glass.
full of them.
Yeah.
And then I left them, I'm sorry.
So what's the next step?
Well, it's for you to approve it.
So we need a more exact, right, do we need a more exact cartoon to approve it, or, I mean, how does that work, or just?
What's our process?
It's up to you guys. If you, I mean, you guys have made a lot of suggestions. It seems like another draft
Yes.
makes sense. We don't meet in August, so that would be the July meeting. If you guys trust and just want to say, okay, we're ready to move forward, that's also an option. So,
Do you have actually a JPEG or something of this, or is it just the papers?
It's pretty, right now it's papers yet. It's pretty fresh.
That would be a suggestion that I would make, that I'd like to see this, so in some sort of form that we can.
Yeah, no, that is
distribute,
definitely
document.
the next
Yeah,
step of
just-
that. But, okay, can I say something?
Yes, you may. Call him.
Thank you. And, so, okay, this is how the project has gone, right? We had it kind of approved, and then we didn't. And then we did all the work and the steps to come up with a design to show it to you. Generally, the project, how we have done it, meeting with the people and the kids and everybody, it's part of the project,
Yes.
right? So we already have done a fair amount of that. So I think that we came up with a very close design that if we add some seeds and maybe, and also some turkeys passing by, and, cities, senior, maybe walking could be also, I don't know how Christian will do that. I think it's not a lot of changes. And it pretty much goes in the style of what we already showed you. I think, as an artist,
Raise your hand, yeah.
No, I would say it's worthwhile to move it forward, accepting that nothing is going to ever get every single thing that all of us want.
Absolutely.
And so I think Christian has a good track record as an artist. You guys have done a lot of work already. My suggestion would be to send it forward. Some modifications will be made, but this is the general idea.
Okay, so the question is, does this have to go to council? So is this good enough to take to council?
So before it goes to council, we have to do the whole certification process. So we would have to have a final design, close to final with color and everything with that. We would do postcards, we would place the sign at the veterinarian. We would send, postcards out to 500 feet around it. We put in the e-newsletter, e-notify, all the news articles, everything we would put it in. And then, once we have all that information, we put together a staff report of all the things we've done. We've notified everyone in the city. We've got positive feedback. That's our part. That's our part. And then it would go, sit down. And then it would go to council saying, look at all we've done. The goal of all of this is to say, council doesn't even have to ask questions. Like, oh my God, you guys have done so much work. Everyone's excited about it. Yeah, it's great.
So basically, they need a more formal,
Yeah.
before we send you to council and all of this kind of stuff, we need a much more
Like a
formal.
JPEG on a piece of paper.
Yeah, that would do it, a JPEG in color on a piece of paper.
But we should.
So let's say we approve this.
Drawing,
We approve this.
then that would be the notification piece of it.
But for that, if Christian does the changes and adds color to it, and we, transform it into a file.
Yes,
you know,
documents.
When we send it to you, do we
Yes.
really have to come again?
No,
And
just send us the
then-
file.
Yeah, send us file, and then what would happen?
So then we have, that's when it's in our court. So we have a postcard ready to go, because we know that we're trying to get going. So as soon as we have the image, we drop that in, and we send that out to a 300-foot radius. We print, it's gonna look very similar to this. So we put the image, we put the map of where it's located. These go out to, again, I think it's, I never remember, 300 feet radius around the location. We'll put print stacks for every building. We do our thing, and that would probably be 30 to 60 days. And then from then we already have it scheduled. We go to council with the staff report, and they get the thumbs up, and we start the next one. We enter into a contract, and we give you the money.
Yay.
So it's a lot of work. We get, you've done a lot of work for zero money at this point, and we really appreciate it, and we really want to support your work. So I endorse what Brendan said, which is, we like this design. Tweak it, color it, make a file, then wait on us to get it together. Because, the council's gonna love it. They are gonna like it.
I would also want to chat with you too about how much, what we've done with the Albany loop is there was, I believe it was 50, 25, 25%, or 25, 25, 50, or however it went. So we would work with you on the contract and what the clean up terms were too, so that you guys are comfortable and have the money to move forward as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
With the understanding that upon completion would be the last.
Yes, of course. It's just we need some supplies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Glass is really expensive.
Yes, yes.
Oh, it's very exciting.
Yes, really excited. Something's gonna happen.
We don't mean to cause you more trouble, but in order to get it through, we need something more specific.
Sure. Then that would be super.
Yeah, it's gonna be soon. Just make sure, this space is really easy to work if we're gonna try to add another person. And I really like the idea of the garden. Probably if we can do like a little gardening here, with vegetable or something, and this older person can be doing something in the garden.
Like the trash, what is that, Gilman trash?
Yeah. And there's the farm, the organic
Right.
farm.
Yeah.
Well, there's the community garden. as
Something
well.
like
There's a
that.
lot of,
That way I can simplify, into, those petitions in just one,
Yeah, it's so lovely. Yeah, you've got it.
The other question is, besides the huge jar, is there anything else we could put in there? So kind of bring the dog down a little bit if we put some-
Yeah, I'll do it.
something else in there?
Dog chase some turkeys.
There, I'm good with that. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a huge dog.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I've warmed to the dog. I like the
You
dog.
warmed
and
to
I
the
think
Uh-huh.
it's
He does say,
signature-
we're a friendly town.
Friendly animals.
Yeah, this is a great design.
I had a question just for the committee is there anything in Albany, we wanted to represent the workers, is there anything in Albany specifically, this is a carpenter?
Yes, I was trying to find some shirt or something, but say Albany workers or something. I don't know if there's some
There's
institution.
always tire stores on sale. Constantly seeing people working on, there's Albany Tire.
But you also have all these painters.
Yeah.
Painters,
But I see all
muralists.
these shop owners. you know.
Shop owners, yeah. A lot of people.
I mean, we all work, a lot of us work artists.
Yeah, when we have the mural, it's easy to work.
Oh, yeah, those.
Yes.
This is the one trade that I don't see a lot of, is carpentry, because I think it takes studio space, right, and I don't think we have a lot of studio space. I mean, in terms of representing a worker, I think something else would read better. I don't know what it is.
Though the beauty of that job, it is kind of the tire, like we say we do a tire work, it's not as poetic as,
It's not
as
poetic.
a carpenter.
No, we have
building.
construction, we
We
do.
construction.
We
Yeah.
have construction workers,
Yeah.
we do. We actually really do. And if you need, I'm just now thinking of my favorite construction company that is in Albany. So if you want a recommendation for a manager or something, I would work, but for sure there's a couple of.
We
great
don't
ones.
want anybody's.
Yeah.
We don't know, advertise.
We don't
Yeah.
advertise, this is not advertising. If we're advertising, we should. So,
Yeah.
Sell space.
so space on our, there you go.
I do like that one. It's pretty and it's finished.
Yay.
It's finished. Sounds great.
Yeah.
I do like the 3D aspect of it.
I do too,
Coming
I actually
out.
really do too. Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it's cool. Okay, so what, else? so
So
we,
do we need to vote?
do we need to vote?
We need to vote,
Okay,
so let's-
who's gonna make a motion?
Well, let's go sit at the.
Okay, let's do it. Brandon, will you make the
No,
motion?
no.
Why did I ask you to do it?
I don't know.
I don't know, I just did.
And the Warriors won.
Yay, Kim, my God. But I heard KD's out.
Did it
He
go to
just-
overtime?
Oh, really? He hurt himself again?
He heard himself and he's out. He's not, KD.
He played tonight,
He played tonight and
Probably
he
shouldn't have
played
come back.
great.
and then he hurt
And then he
himself.
hurt himself. And he's out for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
There will be no more
I was
KD.
surprised.
1 point.
1 point,
point.
oh yeah.
6 to 105, sorry. You can tell where we're at.
Warrior fan too.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so do we have a motion to
I'm,
accept this design?
I motion to accept this design and move it forward.
Can we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have accepted your design.
Yay.
And we're moving it forward.
What is, Christian, and what is the timeline, do you think, for getting the image, a high-resolution image?
Only 1 week.
Okay,
Was that all?
Wow,
That's fast.
Wow, that is
that's
fast.
terrific.
Next, next 1 week.
okay,
We wanna let it get it go.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, bet you
It's
do.
not quite that
Great,
easy.
great.
So I guess the next time we apply, we'll have a design.
Right. This has been a learning process for us as well, and so thank you guys for your patience.
Add something about the colors.
Will you go up to the microphone?
When we talk about colors, sometimes in the sketch we can make some composition with the colors, but when you are in the wall, the sun is gonna make different vision of the colors. And probably if you can give me some flexibility with the colors, I really like to appreciate that, because in the design sometimes it looks okay, but when we are working in the wall, it's gonna be a little bit different.
Yeah. These are both north-facing
yeah.
walls, yes? We
sorry?
understand that. These are both north-facing walls,
Yes.
so they won't get that intense western sun.
Get the sun almost like
Are they north facing?
I don't know, like.
Kind of an
They're
indirect.
south facing,
Yeah.
aren't they?
But yeah, do
Yeah.
your thing. No, they're west, they're
Yeah.
north, they're north
They're on
facing.
Castro, right? One's on Castro.
But don't they face El Cerrito? Don't you
No,
see them?
no, it's
Oh.
facing like this way, it's like
Yeah,
this.
that's
Yeah.
south,
Gonna-
yeah.
Yeah.
Then you are.
Yes, it's
They
hit
are
with
gonna get a
the
lot
of sun.
sun.
Yeah, well, I
South
think,
and west.
yeah, I think you have to do,
We're flexible.
do what
Yes,
you think
we're
is
flexible.
best based on what you know about what the sun's gonna do.
All right,
We
thank you so
trust
much.
you.
Yeah. Good. And then we'll have you painting by fall. It's our hope.
Awesome,
Yes.
because the kids at school, they kind of want to join.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Timing.
perfect.
Good.
So
Good.
that'll be great.
I'm glad.
We said, around September we come back,
Uh-huh.
before they are eighth graders, if they leave.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Do we need a motion to?
We sure
Yes,
do.
can somebody move to
I
adjourn?
move to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Where did this go?
Oh, just leave them there. I'll get them. Yeah.
Great, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
More of those
Yeah, I know you do, Peter.
flyers.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi.